Welcome to the UGC EPG Pathshala lecture series in computer science. In this series of lectures, we have been looking at the subject database management system. In this particular session, we will be concentrating majorly on the active databases. Some of the learning objectives for this particular sessions include, we are to majorly highlight the differences between the conventional databases, that is, we have read it like relational database management system and the active databases. Second, we will try to understand the different types of triggers. Triggers are majorly the active databases. So, we will mainly try to understand the types of SQL triggers. Not only that, we will try to study on the issues that has been put forth for the active databases. And finally, we will provide the applications of active databases. As I have told you during the objective discussion, how an active databases are different from a conventional database is the actual study. If you look at conventional databases, which are majorly called a passive database, say for example, if you have a classification based on the rules, databases are majorly classified into active and passive database. If you understand rules very thoroughly, rules are nothing but the format which we have already seen, A implies B, any format of this case, or a trigger is getting triggered, then those are supposed to be rules. So, majorly databases have been classified in terms of rules into two. One is an active database, the other one would be a passive database. If you look at passive databases, the previous sessions that we have concentrated like detective database, if you look at inferential databases, those becomes part of passive databases. If you assume this conventional databases as passive databases depending on the rule types, these passive databases typically have a data model and they follow usually a relational type of database. Not only that, these databases have a transaction model which is passive in nature, passive update principle. That means, if you are trying to provide an example of these passive update principles, say for example, inventory control system. As you might be aware of the inventory control system, in the process of inventory control, we may have to reorder the items when the quantity in stock falls below the threshold. So, there has to be sequential arrangements, or we may have to reorder the items that has been provided when, if at all, the threshold has been provided. The second application or the second real world problem with respect to passive databases would be on a traveling wait list. Book tickets as soon as the right kind of seats are available. And the third one is on the stock market. Buy or sell stocks when the price is below or above the threshold. So, these are the further kind of real world problems that arise as part of passive databases. Now, as I have highlighted you, this active database nothing but triggers should automatically trigger, insisting on updating all the values to the user in case any specific event occurs. As I have told you, this classification of passive and active databases primarily depends on the rule format that we write. So, we will try understanding more on the rules. Rules are nothing but specifying actions that are automatically triggered by certain events. So, we may have to trigger an event if the event occurs and we check for a condition. If the condition also persists, then an action need to be performed. So, we may have to specify actions. These actions are to be automatically triggered based out of certain events. So, that is the format of the rule that we are trying to provide it as part of active databases. So, any active database will follow a generalized model which is called event, condition, action model, which will be predominantly said as ECA rules. I repeat, ECA rules are nothing but event, condition and action model. If at all we wanted to understand on what this ECA would represent, event or events are nothing but any database updation operations, we call them as events. For condition, the condition determines whether the rule is to be executed after the event has occurred. So, whenever there needs to be an operation, it will check for whether that rule needs to be executed after the event has occurred, then there is a check for the condition. And finally, we may have to execute on a specific action. This action to be taken will be majorly in format of providing an SQL command or an external program. So, rules are sometimes or majorly called triggers in our active databases. However, some systems make distinctions between them. Say for example, in Postgres it has been said in a different alternate way. Now, we will try to understand what a trigger would mean. We will call any particular event happening would trigger, or any particular condition being checked, there would be triggering an event, and this, because of this trigger, we might get an action done. So, that is how we have initiated on the word of trigger, and this trigger need to be automatic in nature. So, if you wanted to understand more closely on what a trigger really means, a trigger is something like a procedure that we have used as part of any programming language. So, a trigger is like a procedure that is automatically invoked by the DBMS in response to specified changes to the database. So, this trigger will be automatically invoked, will be automatically called by the DBMS, and this happens as a response to looking at specific changes that we do in the database. Not only that, trigger is like a daemon that monitors a database. So, this daemon might give you different interpretations in between the actual happening of an event and the actual action that is to be performed or specified. There can be multiple representations that a daemon can provide you with. So, this trigger is like a daemon that monitors a database and is executed when the database is modified in a way that matches the event specification. So, any database event in case of modification having performed, if it matches the event specification, then the trigger would be initiated. Finally, trigger is nothing but a database that has a set of associated triggers. So, any specific databases need to have a set of triggers which is called as active database. We can discuss more on triggers in terms of event, condition, action scenario. So, every rule that we are supposed to write will be majorly in the format of representing an event, checking for the condition, and finally specifying an action. So, to look at more in detail about this event, condition and action, event occurs in the database when there is an addition of new row, deletion of a row that has been performed in the database management system. So, an event would be triggered only when there is a new row insertion or a deletion that happens with the database management system. As a second case, to check for the condition, conditions are checked by use of SQL conditions. Actions are executed if conditions are satisfied. Say for example, I will have SQL plus procedures which can initiate on the action, all the data actions performed by the trigger execute within the same transaction in which the trigger fires. And this cannot contain transaction control statements like commit, save point and rollback. So, there are certain list of commands that cannot be directly controlled by this trigger, which are like commit, save point and rollback, but certainly there can be a list of commands with the help of SQL we can directly use as part of this active database. So, active databases does not majorly support on DCL statement. Instead, most of the operators which we use it as part of data definition and data manipulation is being covered. So, as part of data definition, we can create a database. As part of data manipulation, we can insert, delete and update. But part of data control statements which are like commit, rollback, grant permission, revoke, all this will not be a part of this active database constraints. This is the overall motivation which we are trying to do it as part of a database. So, there should be an event that need to be triggered as part of event and condition before it gets into the database, but out of the database there will be an action. You can assume any specific scenario relating to it. Say for example, I go near an ATM machine, I insert my card. Money can be withdrawn only when the password or the PIN number associated with the card matches with the account detail, or if the PIN number matches with the account detail, we are again to check for whether there has been sufficient balance. Only then the machine can accept your request and provide an action. So, two different conditions have been checked, one is on the PIN, the other one is on the account balance. So, these are supposed to be the event. Event is inserting a card and trying to access my record, and action is whenever I am supposed to withdraw, it checks for both these constraints and action has been performed. Looking at database triggers in SQL, these are not specified as part of the version of SQL 92, but this has been standardized in SQL 3, which is released in 1999. All these triggers are available in most enterprise database management systems like Oracle, IBM's DB2, MS SQL Server and some common public domain like Postgres. But if you look at the present state of smaller desktops like Oracle Lite and public domains of database systems like MySQL, this triggers are not majorly existing. So, some vendors of database management system permit native extensions to SQL for specifying the triggers. For example, the procedural language of SQL in Oracle and the transact language in MS Microsoft SQL Server majorly specify on the native extensions of SQL commands. Not only that, some database management systems also provide general purpose programming languages instead of SQL like C, C++ in POET, Java in Oracle, C# and VB in SQL Server. There also these kind of triggers can be very well used. So, some database management systems extend the trigger beyond tables. For example, we can also have views as like what we have in the Oracle. So far we have tried understanding on the basics that we need to understand as part of active databases. I have told you active databases are nothing but triggers that we write on a SQL. So, any SQL command, if the command has an event, condition, action, rule format, then this becomes a trigger or an active database, or this trigger makes the database active, that is why this is called an active database. Now, let us try to understand why these triggers or how these triggers are applicable on a row, on a column wise execution. So, we will look more closer into the types of SQL triggers. These are something like how many times should the trigger body execute when the trigger event takes place. So, we might be using a for loop in case of general purpose programming languages, but then that knows the number of times this loop has to be executed. Likewise, if at all we are trying to use triggers, how many times should we trigger the body to execute the triggering event to understand the action procedure. So, those have been classified into two basic types. One is per statement trigger and for each row trigger. Per statement is nothing but the trigger body that tries to execute once for the triggering event. So, as I have told you, per statement itself indicates we are trying to execute the trigger only once. So, this is the default that has been set, where the trigger body will be executed only once for the triggering event, whereas for each row we will try the triggering body to execute once for each row affected by the triggering event. What would happen if at all we try to use the active databases? So, that has been covered as part of issues about active databases, which are something like a general model. We will try to remember active databases as event, condition and action, where the event, as I have already told you, in general will be an insert, update and delete statements, and this can be more specific, like see update of salary on an employee. Say for example, every year an employee needs to upgrade the salary. So, the department will look after there is an increase in percentage of the salary once every year has crossed. So, that actually triggers an event, followed by a condition which could be an empty when solely the event triggers. It could even be a row level rule, where the rule is triggered for each tuple for which the condition is being satisfied. And not only that, we basically have two different types of conditions to be checked here. One is on the row level, the other one is on the statement level. If at all we are trying to look at the row level, where the rule is triggered for each tuple for which the condition is satisfied, that is what we have looked at in the previous slide, and the statement level rule will be per statement. So, the rule is triggered only once for each triggering statement, and finally there will be an action. So, that means the action will be majorly in terms of SQL statement or external procedure. Let us try looking at some of the examples we have for both a row level trigger and a statement level trigger. First, let us project an example for a statement level event. If I am trying to use a SQL command where I have an insert into department having attributes department number, department name and location, and what is to be inserted is the values. So, I am trying to insert values like 50, the department name should be education and the location would be New York. So, this 2 indicates the line 2 in the SQL command prompt. So, what am I trying to do as per the statement is I am trying to insert a value to the department relation, where the value of department number should be 50, value of department name would be education, value of location would be New York. So, this, if I am trying to say a statement level trigger or a statement event occurs, this will try executing only once, even if multiple rows are being affected. Even if I see multiple rows, I am trying to insert this value to only one specific row alone. since it is a statement level command. Whereas, the same in case of row level trigger for a monitoring of row events to the same SQL command prompt, I say update employee set salary is equal to salary into 1.1. That means, I am trying to update the salary of every employee that is available in the entire relation called EMP relation. Everybody's salary is uniquely been increased by 1.1 times the actual salary. So, that is what the second statement is indicating, set salary is equal to salary multiplied by 1.1. So, if at all I have first row with salary as 100, the second the updation will say the salary will be 110. So, where the department number is equal to 30. So, any department which carries a value of 30, if any number of employees that I find, their salaries need to be updated by 1.1 times. So, this will execute for each row of table affected by the overall event. So, considering this event or identifying the difference between these two events, previous event said any number of statements occur, any number of relations occur, the modification will be done or insertion will be done only to one of the relation. Whereas, although I have multiple relations, if at all this condition has been checked, so any employee who has been found to be having department number 30, all the relations that is existing in the table, I will try modifying the values by multiplying by a factor of 1.1. So, this is the basic difference between a statement level trigger and row level trigger. So, this is one of the simple illustration that we can provide as part of sequencing of databases. So, when should this event condition action rule be triggered or fired as part of the database? So, this is for triggers on multiple rows. Say for example, if I have defined a table with attributes like employee number, employee name and department number, if I have a statement before statement trigger which can be executed at this level, but there will be no statements that will be executed, and at this stage, that means there is a separation between employee number and the first employee number that I have presented, only then I can have before row trigger. This happens, whatever that I have said already, this is before statement trigger, and here is where I can initiate on before row trigger after having inserted on this particular value or after having updated on this particular value. It can only be an after row trigger. Likewise, if I try continuing doing on all the relations that is existing as part of this employee table, then every record that is existing in the employee table will have two row level triggers to be performed. One is before row level trigger, the other one would be a after row level trigger. But for the entire table, there can be only one statement level trigger, there can be two statement level triggers for the entire table. One is before the table is being executed, the other one is after the entire table is being executed. So, I repeat saying the same things. This is on triggers on multiple rows, only this will make you understand clearly on how these triggers are getting executed. So, for an employee table, for an employee relation like this, a statement level trigger will appear or will hold good only before we create the actual relation or we try inserting all the values of the actual relation. So, there can be a before statement level trigger, and after completion of the entire relation there can be an after statement level trigger. Whereas, when I am trying inserting on every record, there will be a before row trigger, and after having inserted there can be an after row trigger. Likewise, for every record that I find within the database relation or database table, then there can be so many instances of before and after row trigger. For this relation, I have 3 records. For 3 records, totally I have 6 row triggers. One is before and one is after for every record. For 3 records, I have totally 6 row level triggers. In short, as a summary for this particular session, the initial discussion on the active databases majorly concentrated on the difference between a passive database and an active database. Passive databases are majorly the conventional databases which we try to use, like detective database, inference based databases, and active databases are nothing but triggers that we use as part of SQL higher versions. Further, these active database management systems embed situation action rules, which in later constraints we have explained it in terms of event, condition, action rules as part of databases. And at the end, we have tried indicating on the various types of SQL triggers like row level trigger and statement level trigger, wherein I have informed you for every record we will have 2 row level triggers, which will be before row level trigger and after row trigger, and for every relation there will be only 2. For the entire of the relation there will be only 2 statement level triggers. One is before statement trigger and the other one is after statement trigger. Thank you.